Good morning, everyone. I will be leading our weekly Toolbox talk this Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. currently, and my name is Jeremy O'Connor. I will be talking about the general topic of tool safety. Now, before we dive into this Toolbox talk on tool safety, I want to make sure we understand our reasoning for our Toolbox talks, which includes to ensure we are all prepared for different work as we go through this project and other work we're doing, to understand the safety guidelines and processes for all the different tools and equipment used, to understand how to work safely around people and equipment, and to find ways to reduce and eliminate hazards on the job site and anywhere we're working. So to get started, tool safety includes knowing how to properly operate tools, how to know what type of tool to use in certain situations, and how to be safe on site when using the tools. So to dive right into that, we've got the safe work practices that I have come up for this Toolbox talk. First off includes using the right type of tool. There are so many different types of tools in the world. There's always being innovations to make them faster, stronger, more efficient, better using them on the battery life. But then there's also simpler ones, such as pry bars. If you're trying to pry two objects apart, you have a general range of items to use. You can use a hammer's claw, you can use a Wonder Bar, small little pry bar, or even those big 55-inch pry bars. It's important to understand the use of each tool, as well as to make sure that you use it in the right way, in the right situation. So to do that, a lot of it will go into just understanding the tool and reading the manual for the item. So it's always important to read the manual of the item, because it will tell you when to use the tool, how to use it, when it shouldn't be used, how to service it, and will really help to save yourself and anyone else. You have something bad were to happen, or if you notice some issue on the tool. So a big thing with using the manual for the tool includes inspecting equipment. So when you get the manual for the tool, you will then look at the tool. And what I always do is I take a look at it. You always get the battery on. I just make sure it's nice and secure, won't move around. Then I take a look at the whole thing. Make sure the casing is all intact, no cracks, or no severe cracks, damages, cuts, or holes in there that can really affect the performance of the tool and also the safety while actually using the tool. So I took a look at the impact, made sure it was all good, and I deemed it as fit to work and fit to ready to use. Moving on from our safe work practices, some of the safety rules on the job that we have include wearing PPE. And PPE involves of many items, and they vary from task to task, but it generally revolves around the lines of safety gloves, safety glasses, a high-vis vest, hard hat, safety boots, pants, and then other accessories as needed per job. Whenever using sharp tools or dealing around sharp objects with my tools, such as a knife, I will always tend to use cut-proof gloves. I'll always be using these. I use cut level 4 gloves, and they work tremendously. Had some close calls myself, but I've had the gloves on, and they actually have protected me, which may seem hard to believe at times because it's just leather, but it does actually do the job, and it's a lot better to have that between the sharp object in your finger than nothing at all. And in addition to the gloves, I also wear safety glasses all the time. That they're great for protecting my eyes from flying debris, when using a hammer to make sure the claws don't pop up back in my face, and pretty much at all times to just protect them, because there's also shades of safety glasses which are great to use outside as well. So now, to discuss the PPE, it's important to understand the properties of all PPE too, because there's different levels of cut-proof gloves, there's different types of safety glasses. You have to make sure that they match exactly what is required by the project, by OSHA, by anything else, because there are a lot of different runoffs that could be close, but when using the tools such as the drill, pliers, hammer, angle grinder, whatever it is, you need to stay safe, and a lot of that is using the proper PPE, as well as just making sure you're not getting caught in different situations or different pinch points or anything like that. So to be safe, you also have to deal with working around other equipment, other items. So the PPE is a great resource for that. But then also just communicating with the other trades or groups in the area will help you to make sure that you're not using an angle grinder in an area where maybe insulation may be being tossed on the walls, where it's a highly flammable substance, could catch fire. You wouldn't want something like that to happen. So communication, but then also organization. Organization will include keeping debris off the floor, keeping boxes and storage areas out of the way where you're trying to work, as well as hanging up cords, keep them out of the way, so that way if you're walking along, not looking at the ground, you can just walk right by, not have to worry about it as you're screwing the sheetrock up on the wall. You'll be just fine and dandy in that way. And then finally, to reduce or eliminate the potential for injuries when working on these, I always just really recommend a lot of it's the PPE. But then when looking at the hierarchy of controls, two important steps on that is elimination and substitution. So if you're in a tight spot and you have your drill, I'd much rather if you got some extensions on your socket instead of trying to reach your hand into that pinch point. It's a lot better to get those sockets, toss it on the tool, and then just take the screw out, put it in, whatever the task requires of you, which will then help to keep you safe, keep the equipment working well, and keep the job running smoothly. And then finally, it's just to never use a damaged tool. It's silly to use one if you're just trying to get the most life out of the tool, because it has a much larger chance and risk of hurting you. So just toss out the bad tool, old tool, damaged tool, and make sure it's never used again. So to wrap things up for tool safety, make sure you're always using and operating a functional and operational tool that does the job it's supposed to. Make sure you understand the project manual, and always use proper elimination, substitution, or PPE when you can. Thank you, guys.